Monarchs, this is Mrs. Dutro, and today we are going to talk about the anatomy of a quotation. And so basically, this is how to format signal phrases, quote dialogue, and punctuate quotations. So your essential question for today is, how can I avoid distracting my reader by using proper formatting when citing evidence? But first, make sure that you have watched my video on framing evidence in essays, and it might also have been helpful for you to watch the Signal Phrases Remix before you watch this one, but you could also watch Signal Phrases Remix after you watch this video. But first, a quick refresher. So you should have a signal phrase leading into your quotation, and then that should be followed up by a parenthetical citation. I talk about this in that video, Framing Evidence in Essays, so I suggest that you watch that video if this does not look familiar to you. So some basic formatting rules. First, let's talk about the relationship between the signal phrase and the parenthetical citation. So remember, if you do not have the author's name in your signal phrase, then you need to put the author's name in your parenthetical citation. So in this example, instead of having the author's name in the signal phrase, we say the narrator points out. And then therefore, in our parenthetical citation, we have to say Atwood, and then we have the number 1 as the page number. Now, if we were to switch it and say Atwood points out instead of the narrator, so if we put the author's name in our signal phrase, then we do not put the author's name in our parenthetical citation. And that is because the signal phrase and the parenthetical citation work together as one construct. Now, it's also important to remember to put in a comma after your signal phrase if you are using a set-off quotation, and you put that in before the quotation mark. And you also need to make sure you have a space between your comma and your quotation mark. So there's no space between the quotation mark itself and the quotation, but there is a space before that first quotation mark. And then likewise, at the end, you do not put a space between the end of your quotation and the quotation mark, but you do put a space after that quotation mark before your parenthetical citation. And then for the period, you do not put that in the quotation. Instead, you put it after your parenthetical citation. And that is because your parenthetical citation kind of acts as the same sentence. And so it doesn't go in the quotation, it goes after the parenthetical citation. And then the parenthetical citation itself does not have a comma. It does not have a number sign, or it doesn't say page or anything. It just has either the author's last name and the page number, or just the page number if you already have the author's last name in your signal phrase. So here is the anatomy of this quotation. I suggest that you take a screenshot of this so that you can refer back to it whenever you need it. And here is the anatomy of the same quotation, but in this case, we have the author's name in the signal phrase, and therefore the author's name does not go in the parenthetical citation. Now, quoting dialogue, that is something that a lot of students struggle with and don't really know how to do. So let's go over that really quickly. So in this example, we see Kino's descent into greed when he states, "This pearl has become my soul," said Kino. "If I give it up, I shall lose my soul." So in this case, we are quoting dialogue. So dialogue is when you have characters speaking in a story. And so to quote dialogue, you use the double quotation marks around the entire quotation. So I have the double quotation marks highlighted orange for you. And then you put single quotation marks around only the dialogue. And those single quotation marks are green. So you will notice that you do not put a space between the double quotation mark and the single quotation mark. You butt those suckers right up against each other. And then you do still observe the same quotation rules with the single quotation marks as you would with the double quotation marks. So to sum up, you should have a screenshot of this image, which shows you the anatomy of a quotation with the author's name in the parenthetical citation and not in the signal phrase. You should have a screenshot of this image, which shows you how to do the parenthetical citation if you put the author's name in the signal phrase. And you should have a screenshot of this image, which shows you the anatomy of a quotation within a quotation or dialogue within a quotation. And that's all I have for you for today. If you have any questions, you can email me at kelly.dutro@aps.edu. And I hope you have a great week, Monarchs.